The wrench slipped from Tom's greasy fingers and clattered onto the metal floor of the maintenance shaft. He cursed under his breath and wiped his hands on his already dirty coveralls. 3 hours into what should have been a simple repair job, and the navigation computer was still acting like a spoiled child having a tantrum. Tom Hayes had been fixing starships for 15 years, ever since he graduated from the Technical Institute on Mars Colony. He had worked on everything from luxury cruise liners to military destroyers, but cargo freighters like the Stellar Dawn were his specialty. These old workhorses were built to last, not to look pretty, and Tom appreciated their honest design. When something broke, you could usually see why and fix it with basic tools and common sense. The Stellar Dawn was 3 days out from Titan's Rest, a mining colony that supplied rare metals to half the galaxy. The ship carried a crew of 12, including Tom, and enough cargo to fund a small war. It was routine work, the kind Tom could do in his sleep. Wake up, check the systems, fix whatever was broken, eat dinner with the crew, and go to bed. Simple. But today, the navigation computer had other plans. "Hayes, how much longer?" The voice belonged to Captain Roth, crackling through the intercom speaker mounted on the wall. She was a good captain, fair and direct, with 20 years of experience hauling cargo across the galaxy. Tom had worked under her for 3 years and respected her completely. "Give me another hour, Captain," Tom called back, retrieving his wrench. "The primary processor is throwing error codes I've never seen before." "Copy that. Let me know if you need anything." Tom crawled deeper into the maintenance shaft, following the maze of cables and pipes that fed the ship's brain. The navigation computer was housed in a heavily shielded compartment near the ship's center, protected from radiation and electromagnetic interference. It was a critical system that calculated jump coordinates, monitored nearby hazards, and kept the ship on course between stars. The error messages scrolling across his diagnostic pad made no sense. The computer claimed it was receiving conflicting instructions from its own backup systems. According to the readout, something was trying to access restricted memory sectors that should have been empty. Tom had seen plenty of computer glitches over the years, but this was different. This felt deliberate. He opened the main processing unit and ran his scanner over the circuit boards inside. Everything looked normal at first glance. The quantum processors hummed quietly, their status lights blinking green. The memory cores showed no signs of damage or corruption, but when Tom ran a deeper scan, something caught his attention. There was an extra data pathway running between the primary memory and the backup storage system. It was subtle, almost invisible unless you knew exactly where to look. Someone had installed additional hardware inside the computer, hardware that wasn't supposed to be there. Tom felt his heart rate increase. Unauthorized modifications to ship systems were serious business. They could indicate anything from smuggling operations to sabotage. He needed to be careful about how he proceeded. He connected his portable analyzer to the mysterious pathway and began tracing the data flow. The signal led to a small memory chip hidden behind one of the cooling units. The chip was military-grade, designed to survive electromagnetic pulses and radiation that would fry normal electronics. Whatever was stored on it, someone had wanted it to last. Tom carefully removed the chip and plugged it into his analyzer. The device immediately displayed a warning. The data was encrypted with algorithms far more advanced than anything used by civilian shipping companies. This was government-level security, possibly even military intelligence. His hands were shaking now. Tom had always been curious by nature, but he understood the wisdom of minding his own business. Cargo freighters sometimes carried sensitive materials or passengers who preferred to keep their identities private. Smart crew members learned not to ask too many questions. But this was different. The chip had been hidden inside the navigation computer for who knows how long, silently collecting data or waiting for activation. If it was some kind of surveillance device, it could compromise the safety of the entire crew. Tom felt he had no choice but to investigate further. He spent the next 2 hours trying different decryption approaches. His analyzer was a good piece of equipment, capable of breaking most commercial encryption schemes. But this was proving much more difficult. Just when he was about to give up, he noticed something interesting. Part of the encryption key seemed to be based on the ship's own navigation logs. Tom pulled up the Stellar Dawn's flight history and began cross-referencing it with the encrypted data. Slowly, patterns began to emerge. The encryption wasn't just random numbers and letters. It was built around specific star coordinates, dates, and crew assignments. Someone had created a lock that could only be opened by someone with access to the ship's complete records. After another hour of patient work, Tom managed to decrypt a small portion of the hidden message. What he saw made his blood run cold. The partial text read, "Emergency Protocol 77 Alpha, Dr. Emma Walsh, Xenoarchaeology Division, Galactic Research Institute. If you are reading this message, then the official records have been altered or destroyed. The truth about humanity's first contact with alien species is not what they taught you in school. We were never primitive. We were never uplifted. We were conquered." Tom stared at the words on his screen, reading them over and over. Dr. Emma Walsh was a name he recognized from news reports 5 years ago. She had been a famous scientist who disappeared while studying ancient human settlements. The official story was that she had died in an accident on some remote planet, but there had always been rumors of conspiracy theories surrounding her work. The message continued with coordinates to a star system Tom had never heard of, followed by another fragment. "The Last Stand Protocol is our only hope. Find Kepler Station. Find the truth. Find what remains of free humanity." Tom's mind raced. If this message was real, it suggested that everything he knew about human history was wrong. According to his school lessons, humans had been discovered on Earth by benevolent alien traders who helped them develop space travel and join the galactic community. It was a story of cooperation and mutual benefit that had shaped interspecies relations for over a century, but if Dr. Walsh was telling the truth, then that story was a lie. Tom heard footsteps approaching through the maintenance shaft. He quickly disconnected his analyzer and slipped the memory chip into his pocket. A moment later, Kess appeared around the corner. The Altarian pilot was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large, dark eyes. She was friendly enough, but Tom had noticed she seemed unusually interested in his repair work today. "How is the progress?" Kess asked in her musical accent. "Almost finished," Tom replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "Just running some final diagnostics." Kess nodded and smiled, but Tom noticed her gaze linger on his equipment. "The captain wishes to know if there were any unusual findings." Tom forced himself to shrug casually. "Nothing major, just some corrupted memory sectors that needed cleaning. Standard maintenance stuff." "Good," Kess said. "We would not want any delays in reaching our destination." After she left, Tom sat alone in the maintenance shaft, staring at the navigation computer he had supposedly repaired. The hidden message weighed heavily in his pocket like a stone. He had stumbled onto something that could change everything he believed about humanity's place in the galaxy. The question now was what to do about it. Tom's quarters aboard the Stellar Dawn were small but comfortable, containing everything he needed for long voyages between stars. A narrow bed, a desk with his personal computer, a small closet for clothes, and a tiny porthole showing the endless black of space. Tonight, however, the familiar room felt like a prison cell. Sleep was impossible. Every time Tom closed his eyes, he saw Dr. Walsh's message scrolling across his vision. The memory chip sat on his desk like an accusation, its innocent appearance hiding secrets that could reshape human history. Tom had always prided himself on being practical and level-headed, but the implications of what he had discovered were driving him toward the edge of panic. He activated his personal computer and began searching for information about Dr. Emma Walsh. The official databases contained the standard biographical information. Born on Europa Colony in 2387, graduated with honors from Cambridge University on Earth, earned her doctorate in xenoarchaeology from the Martian Institute of Science. She had spent her career studying the remains of ancient civilizations throughout the galaxy, with particular focus on pre-contact human settlements. The last entry in her file was dated 5 years ago. Dr. Walsh had been leading an expedition to catalog artifacts on a planet called Haven 7, a world that supposedly contained the ruins of one of humanity's earliest attempts at interstellar colonization. According to the report, her research team had been killed when their shuttle crashed during a storm. Their bodies were never recovered. Tom dug deeper into the archives, following references and cross-linking related documents. What he found was disturbing. Every detailed record of Dr. Walsh's research had been classified above his security clearance. Her published papers had been removed from academic databases. Even news articles about her work had been edited to remove specific details about her discoveries. Someone had gone to great lengths to erase Dr. Emma Walsh from history. Tom retrieved the memory chip and connected it to his computer, hoping to decrypt more of the hidden message. His personal system was less powerful than his professional analyzer, but it might be able to handle some of the simpler encryption layers. As the decryption program worked, Tom continued his research. He found references to Haven 7 in the shipping manifests. The planet had been designated as a historical preserve after Dr. Walsh's supposed accident. No civilian ships were permitted to visit, and the Galactic Research Institute had declared the site too dangerous for further study. It was a convenient way to keep people away from whatever Dr. Walsh had discovered there. A soft chime from his computer indicated that the decryption program had made progress. Tom opened the new data file and began reading. Personal log, Dr. Emma Walsh. Supplementary entry for standard date 2392.156. I have made a discovery that changes everything we thought we knew about human expansion into space. The ruins on Haven 7 are not from a failed colony attempt. They are from a thriving human settlement that existed for over 30 years before it was destroyed. Tom felt his mouth go dry. According to the official history, human space travel had only become possible after first contact with alien species in 2341. But if Dr. Walsh was right, humans had been building colonies decades before that date. The log continued. The construction, techniques, the technology, the scale of the settlement all indicate that early humans had achieved far more than the history books claim. These people weren't primitive refugees stumbling through space with alien help. They were engineers, scientists, and pioneers who had mastered interstellar travel through their own ingenuity. Tom paused the playback and stared out his porthole at the stars. If humans had developed space travel independently, why had that achievement been hidden? Who benefited from portraying humanity as a species that needed alien assistance to reach the stars? He resumed the log. Dr. Walsh's voice was tense with excitement and fear. I found evidence of a coordinated attack. The colony wasn't destroyed by natural disaster or system failure. It was bombed from orbit. The blast patterns are consistent with military-grade plasma weapons. Someone wanted to make sure that Haven 7 and its inhabitants could never tell their story. The recording was interrupted by sounds of commotion in the background. Tom could hear voices shouting in what sounded like multiple languages. Dr. Walsh's voice became urgent. They found us. I don't have much time. I'm uploading everything to the emergency protocols. If something happens to me, if the official reports claim this was an accident, know that it wasn't. We were silenced because we discovered proof that humanity's first contact wasn't first contact at all. It was conquest disguised as cooperation. The recording ended abruptly. Tom sat in the dark of his quarters, his heart pounding. If Dr. Walsh was telling the truth, then the entire foundation of galactic civilization was built on a lie. Humans hadn't been uplifted by benevolent aliens. They had been conquered, their achievements erased, their true history buried. A soft knock at his door made Tom jump. He quickly disconnected the memory chip and hid it under his pillow before opening the door. Drac stood in the corridor, his reptilian features unreadable in the dim light. The Centaurian security chief was built like a tank, with thick scales and powerful claws that could tear through metal plating. Despite his intimidating appearance, Drac had always been professional and fair in his dealings with the human crew members. "Tom Hayes," Drac said in his deep, rumbling voice. "May I enter?" Tom stepped aside, trying to appear casual. "Of course. What can I do for you?" Drac closed the door behind him and looked around the small quarters with his golden eyes. "I have been monitoring ship security protocols. Your maintenance work today triggered several unusual alerts in our surveillance systems." Tom's blood turned to ice. "What kind of alerts?" "Unknown data transfers. Unauthorized access to restricted memory. Sectors. Activity patterns consistent with intelligence gathering or sabotage." Drac's voice remained neutral, but Tom could sense the danger in his words. "I was just doing my job," Tom said. "The navigation computer had some corrupted files that needed attention." Drac nodded slowly. "Yes, that is what your report indicated. However, our security logs show that you accessed data pathways that were not part of the standard repair protocol. You also performed decryption operations that exceeded the scope of routine maintenance." Tom tried to think of a reasonable explanation, but his mind was blank with fear. If Drac suspected him of sabotage, he could end up in the ship's detention cell or worse. But before he could speak, Drac did something unexpected. The Centaurian. Security chief moved to the porthole and stared out at the stars. When he spoke again, his voice was quiet and thoughtful. "My people have a saying, Tom Hayes. Truth is like water. It always finds a way to the surface, no matter how deeply it is buried." Tom waited, unsure how to respond. Drac turned back to him. 5 years ago, I was assigned to provide security for a research expedition to Haven 7. Dr. Emma Walsh was the lead scientist. She was a remarkable human, dedicated to uncovering the truth about your species' history in space. Tom's heart nearly stopped. "You knew Dr. Walsh?" "I knew her well. I also know that her death was not accidental." Drac's golden eyes fixed on Tom with uncomfortable intensity. "The official reports are lies. Dr. Walsh discovered something that certain powerful interests wanted to remain hidden. When she refused to abandon her research, she was eliminated." Tom sat heavily on his bed, his mind reeling. "Why are you telling me this?" Drac was quiet for a long moment. "Because I believe you have found something related to her work. The data, patterns from your maintenance session today, are identical to those generated by Dr. Walsh's research equipment. You have accessed the same hidden files she was trying to decode." "I don't know what you're talking about," Tom said weakly. Drac smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "I am not your enemy, Tom Hayes. Dr. Walsh was my friend. Before she died, she told me about contingency plans, hidden messages, protocols designed to preserve the truth if something happened to her. I have been waiting 5 years for someone to find what she left behind." Tom stared at the alien security chief, trying to process what he was hearing. "You're part of this?" "Part of whatever conspiracy Dr. Walsh was investigating." "I am part of the solution," Drac corrected. "There are those of us, human and non-human alike, who believe that truth is more important than the comfortable lies that hold our civilization together. We know that humanity's real history has been suppressed, and we intend to restore it." Tom pulled the memory chip from under his pillow and held it up. "Then you'll want to see this." The hydroponics bay of the stellar dawn hummed quietly in the artificial night cycle, rows of vegetables and fruits growing under specialized lights. Tom had suggested meeting here because it was one of the few places on the ship not monitored by security cameras. The thick vegetation would also muffle their conversation from any listening devices. Drac crouched beside a row of tomato plants, his large frame making him look oddly domestic among the green leaves. Tom sat on a maintenance stool, the memory chip connected to a portable datapad balanced on his knees. Over the past 6 hours, they had managed to decrypt nearly half of Dr. Walsh's hidden message, and what they found was reshaping everything. Tom thought he knew about human history. "Read it again," Drac said quietly, his golden eyes reflecting the grow lights. "The section about the Epsilon colonies." Tom scrolled through the data files until he found the right passage. Personal log, Dr. Emma Walsh. Supplementary entry 2392.203. Archaeological evidence from 17 different sites confirms that human settlements in the Epsilon sector were established between 2309 and 2341. These were not primitive outposts struggling to survive with alien assistance. They were sophisticated communities with advanced technology, sustainable agriculture, and complex social structures. Drac's claws clicked against the metal floor. 32 years before official first contact, your people were already building cities among the stars. Tom continued reading. The settlement on Haven 7 alone housed over 50,000 people. They had developed fusion power, artificial gravity, and atmospheric processors that could transform dead worlds into garden paradises. Their ships were fast, efficient, and completely human in design. No alien technology was involved. The implications were staggering. If Dr. Walsh was right, humans had achieved interstellar civilization entirely on their own. They hadn't been primitive cave dwellers rescued by benevolent aliens. They had been a rapidly expanding species with the technology and determination to colonize the galaxy. But why hide this? Tom asked. Why create false history? Drac stood and moved to another section of plants, his movements careful and deliberate, because the truth was inconvenient. The human colonies were expanding too quickly, claiming too many worlds. Other species in the galaxy became concerned about competition for resources and territory. Tom found another section of Dr. Walsh's research. She wrote about something called the Containment Conference. Representatives from 12 major alien civilizations met to discuss the human problem in 2341. Read what they decided. Tom's voice grew grim as he continued. The conference concluded that unrestricted human expansion posed a long-term threat to galactic stability. Humans reproduced quickly, adapted to hostile environments, and showed remarkable creativity in solving technological challenges. If left unchecked, they could become the dominant species in the galaxy within 2 centuries. Drac nodded grimly. So they decided to check you. The next section of the message contained detailed analysis of the systematic destruction of human colonies. It hadn't been random disasters or system failures. It had been a coordinated military campaign designed to eliminate human presence beyond Earth's solar system. Over 6 months, 43 colonies had been attacked and destroyed. Nearly 2 million humans had died. They called it Operation Clean Slate, Tom read, his voice barely above a whisper. The goal was to reduce humanity to a single world, then reintroduce them to galactic civilization under carefully controlled conditions. The false first contact had been the final step. Alien ships had arrived at Earth claiming to be explorers, who had just discovered humanity. They offered technology, trade agreements, and membership in the galactic community. What they didn't mention was that they had just finished murdering millions of humans to make room for this generous offer. Tom felt sick. How many people know the truth? More than you might think. Less than there should be. Drac moved to check on a section of grain plants. The cover-up required cooperation from thousands of individuals across dozens of species. Many were willing, participants who benefited from the new order. Others were coerced or threatened. Some, like Dr. Walsh, tried to expose the truth and paid with their lives. Tom scrolled through more of the decrypted files. Dr. Walsh had been thorough in her research. She had found evidence of the destroyed colonies, interviewed survivors, who had been scattered across the galaxy, and uncovered government documents that proved the conspiracy existed at the highest levels of galactic civilization. But some colonies survived, Tom said, finding a new section of data. She mentioned something called the Deep Dark Protocol. Drax's head turned sharply. What does she say? Tom read carefully. When the attacks began, several colony governors implemented emergency protocols designed for this exact scenario. They took their settlements completely off-grid, cutting all communications with Earth and the other colonies. As far as the outside galaxy knew, they had simply vanished. How many? She estimates at least 6 colonies successfully went dark. Their locations were kept secret even from other human settlements, precisely to prevent this kind of systematic destruction. Tom found more details. The largest was called Kepler Station, established in 2318 around a red dwarf star in the outer spiral arm. It was designed from the beginning to be completely self-sufficient and defensible. Drax was quiet for several minutes, processing this information. Finally, he spoke. If these hidden colonies still exist, they would represent the last free humans in the galaxy, people who remember what your species was truly capable of. Tom found the star charts embedded in Dr. Walsh's message. The coordinates pointed to a region of space that was officially classified as unexplored and potentially hazardous. No commercial shipping routes passed through that area, and it was marked as off-limits to civilian traffic. She wanted someone to find them, Tom realized. That's why she hid this message in the navigation computer. She knew that eventually someone like me would discover it during routine maintenance. Someone who could actually do something about it. Drax agreed. A maintenance engineer would have access to ship systems and navigation charts. They would also be overlooked by security services that focused on officers and specialized personnel. Tom stared at the coordinates, trying to imagine what they might find at those distant stars. Were the hidden colonies still there? Had they thrived in isolation, maintaining the technological achievements that official history claimed humans never possessed? Or had they withered and died, leaving only ruins to mark humanity's brief moment of true independence? There's something else, Drax said, moving closer to Tom's workstation. Something I haven't told you about the night Dr. Walsh died. Tom looked up from the data pad. She gave me a message to remember, in case anyone ever found her research. She said, "Tell them about the Last Stand Protocol. Tell them that some of us never surrendered. Tell them that humanity's greatest achievement isn't joining galactic civilization. It's the courage to remain human despite everything they've done to us." Tom felt a chill run down his spine. The Last Stand Protocol had been mentioned in several of Dr. Walsh's files, but the details remained encrypted. Whatever it was, Dr. Walsh had considered it humanity's most important secret. A soft sound from the corridor made both of them freeze. Footsteps were approaching the hydroponics bay, and they were moving with the careful stealth of someone trying not to be noticed. Drax motioned for Tom to hide the data pad as he moved toward the door with predatory grace. The footsteps stopped, just outside. Tom held his breath, wondering if their secret meeting had been discovered. Then a voice spoke through the door in careful, quiet tones. "Drax? Tom? I know you're in there." It was Captain Roth. "We need to talk." Drax and Tom exchanged glances. Had their captain been monitoring them? Was she part of the conspiracy to hide the truth or something else entirely? "Come in, Captain," Drax called softly. Captain Roth entered the hydroponics bay and sealed the door behind her. In the dim grow lights, her face looked older than Tom remembered, marked by worry and sleepless nights. She looked at both of them for a long moment before speaking. "I've been waiting 20 years for someone to find Emma's message," she said quietly. "I helped her hide it." The cargo hold of the Stellar Dawn looked different in the emergency lighting. Where Tom had expected to see standard shipping containers filled with mining equipment and processed metals, he found modified storage units with hidden compartments and specialized equipment. Medical supplies, portable fusion reactors, advanced communication gear, and weapons that definitely weren't on any official manifest. Captain Roth stood beside an opened container, revealing rows of data cores and computer equipment. "We've been preparing for this mission for 5 years," she explained, her voice echoing slightly in the vast space. "Ever since Emma Walsh died, we've been gathering resources and volunteers for the day when we could finally reach the lost colonies." Tom felt overwhelmed by the scope of what he was seeing. "How many people are involved in this?" "More than you might think," Roth replied. "Engineers on Mars colony who build ships with hidden modifications. Scientists on research stations who redirect supplies to our cause. Even some members of the Galactic Council who believe the truth should be revealed." Drac moved through the hidden equipment with familiarity, checking power levels and system status. "The network extends across dozens of worlds and species. We call ourselves the Restoration Movement. Our goal is simple: restore humanity's true history and reconnect the scattered colonies." Amy Cross emerged from behind another container, carrying a specialized communication device. Tom had known Amy for 2 years as the ship's communications officer, but he had never seen her look so focused and determined. "I've been monitoring consortium patrol channels," she reported. 3 ships changed course in our direction about an hour ago. They'll intercept us in 18 hours if we maintain current heading." Captain Roth nodded grimly. "They know we've found the message. Probably triggered some kind of surveillance protocol when Tom decrypted the files." She turned to Tom with an apologetic expression. "I'm sorry we couldn't tell you sooner. We had to be sure you would make the right choice when the moment came." Tom looked around the cargo hold at equipment and people he thought he knew. "How long have you been planning this?" "The Stellar Dawn was purchased specifically for this mission," Ben Torres said, appearing from the shadows near the engine housing. Tom had worked with Ben for 3 years, trusting him to maintain the ship's power systems. Now he realized that Ben had been maintaining much more than he originally thought. "We've been modifying her systems gradually, preparing for the day when we could make the journey to find the lost colonies." Amy activated her communication device and projected a holographic star chart above their heads. The familiar constellations appeared, but with additional markings and navigation routes that weren't in any standard database. "Dr. Walsh's coordinates point to a system here," she said, highlighting a distant cluster of stars. "It's in a region officially designated as unexplored, but our intelligence suggests it's actually under quarantine by consortium forces." Captain Roth studied the star chart with experienced eyes. "How heavily guarded?" "Unknown. Long-range sensors show automated warning beacons, but no active patrol ships. Either they're using stealth technology or they're relying on the quarantine designation to keep people away." Drac checked his personal weapons locker, revealing an impressive array of firearms and protective gear. "We should assume heavy resistance. If Kepler Station still exists, the consortium will have forces in place to prevent contact." Tom felt a mix of excitement and terror as the reality of their situation sank in. "We're really doing this. We're going to find the lost colonies?" "If they still exist," Captain Roth said soberly. "It's been over 70 years since the last confirmed contact. A lot could have happened in that time." Ben activated the modified engine systems, and Tom could hear the difference in the power cycling. The Stellar Dawn had been equipped with military-grade fusion reactors and enhanced shielding. This wasn't just a cargo freighter anymore. It was a ship built for exploration and combat. "Course change in 5 minutes," Amy announced. "All crew to stations," as they prepared to leave. Their assigned shipping route and head into uncharted space, Tom realized that his life as a simple maintenance engineer was over. Whatever they found at the coordinates Dr. Walsh had provided, it would change everything. The question was whether they would live long enough to share their discoveries with the galaxy. The next several hours passed in tense preparation. Tom worked with Ben to optimize the ship's systems for long-range travel and potential combat. Amy maintained constant monitoring of communication channels, tracking the consortium patrol ships that were steadily closing on their position. Drac prepared defensive strategies and checked their modified weapons systems. Captain Roth spent most of her time in the navigation center, plotting the most efficient route to their destination while avoiding known patrol routes and sensor networks. The hidden colonies had survived for decades by remaining invisible to galactic civilization. Finding them would require following navigation techniques and protocols that had been deliberately forgotten by mainstream society. "Tom," Captain Roth called from the navigation console. "I need your help with something." Tom joined her at the complex array of displays and input devices. "What do you need?" Dr. Walsh's message contained more than just coordinates. "There are authentication codes and communication protocols that we'll need when we reach Kepler Station. The problem is, they're encrypted using techniques that require an engineer's understanding of ship systems." Captain Roth brought up a section of Dr. Walsh's files that Tom hadn't seen before. It contained detailed technical specifications for communication equipment, along with procedures for establishing contact with hidden settlements. The information was complex and precise, clearly written by someone who understood the challenges of maintaining secrecy in space. "It's like a handbook for finding lost colonies," Tom realized as he studied the data. Navigation techniques, communication, protocols, even instructions for approaching hidden bases without triggering defensive systems. Emma was thorough, Captain Roth agreed. She knew that someone would eventually need this information to complete her work. Tom began implementing the communication protocols in their ship's systems. The process was complicated, requiring modifications to their transmitter arrays and signal processing equipment. As he worked, he began to appreciate the sophistication of the hidden colony networks. These people had spent decades perfecting ways to remain invisible to galactic surveillance while maintaining contact with other free human settlements. "Incoming transmission," Amy announced from her station. "It's from one of the pursuing consortium ships." Captain Roth activated the main communication array. "This is Captain Roth of the cargo vessel Stellar Dawn." The voice that responded was cold and official. "Captain Roth, you are ordered to halt immediately and prepare for boarding. Your ship has deviated from approved shipping routes and is approaching restricted space. We're experiencing navigation system failures," Captain Roth replied smoothly. "We're working to restore proper heading." "Negative. Our sensors indicate your navigation systems are functioning normally. You will comply with boarding procedures or face the consequences." Captain Roth cut the transmission and turned to her crew. "They know exactly what we're doing, no point in pretending otherwise." She activated the ship-wide communication system. "All hands, prepare for combat. We're going to reach those coordinates whether the consortium likes it or not." Ben increased power to the engines and defensive systems. The Stellar Dawn accelerated toward the distant stars where the lost colonies might still exist. Behind them, 3 consortium patrol ships increased speed to match, their weapon systems charging for battle. Amy monitored the pursuing ships while continuing to refine their destination coordinates. "I'm picking up something interesting," she reported. "There are faint signals coming from the target system, very low power, probably designed to avoid detection by standard sensors." Tom felt his heart race. "What kind of signals?" "Communication. Protocols. The same authentication codes that Dr. Walsh embedded in her message." Amy's voice was filled with excitement. "Someone is out there, and they're using the hidden colony networks." Captain Roth smiled for the first time since Tom had known her. "Then we're going to find them. Drac, prepare for combat. Ben, maximum speed. Amy, start transmitting the authentication codes on all frequencies." The Stellar Dawn raced toward the unknown, carrying the hopes of everyone who believed that humanity deserved to know its true history. Behind them, the consortium patrol ships closed the distance, determined to prevent the truth from being revealed. Tom returned to his engineering station and prepared the ship's systems for whatever they would face among the distant stars. After years of routine maintenance work, he was finally part of something that mattered, something that could change the fate of humanity throughout the galaxy. Space around Kepler Station shimmered with defensive energy fields that Tom had never seen before. The hidden colony wasn't just a settlement that had survived in isolation for 70 years. It was a fortress built by people who understood that their existence depended on being ready for war. The stellar dawn emerged from its final jump to find itself facing a massive structure that defied every assumption Tom had made about early human space technology. Kepler Station stretched for kilometers in all directions, its hull covered with advanced armor plating and weapon systems that looked decades ahead of anything the consortium fielded. Smaller ships moved between the station's docking bays with precision and purpose, their designs sleek and efficient. "Incoming transmission," Amy reported from her communication station. "They're using the authentication codes from Dr. Walsh's message." Captain Roth activated the main viewer. The face that appeared was unmistakably human, but marked by the confidence and determination that came from a lifetime of freedom. The woman looked to be in her 50s, with graying hair and intelligent eyes that seemed to assess everything they saw. "This is Commander Grace Stone of Kepler Station. We've been monitoring your approach for the past 6 hours. Dr. Walsh's authentication codes check out, but we need to verify your identities before allowing you to dock." Captain Roth stepped forward. "Commander Stone, I'm Captain Roth. Emma Walsh was my friend. Before she died, she gave us the coordinates to find you." Grace Stone's expression softened slightly. Emma was a brave woman. Her sacrifice made it possible for the truth to survive. She paused, studying the crew visible on the transmission. "How many consortium ships are pursuing you?" "3 patrol vessels, approximately 4 hours behind us," Drac reported. "Then we don't have much time. Dock at Bay 7. We'll bring you aboard and explain everything." The transmission ended, leaving the crew of the Stellar Dawn staring at the massive station ahead of them. As they approached the docking bay, Tom marveled at the engineering achievement before them. Kepler Station wasn't just large, it was sophisticated beyond anything he had imagined possible with 1970s-era human technology. The station's systems hummed with quiet efficiency, managing power distribution, life support, and defensive systems with automated precision. "Look at the construction methods," Ben whispered, studying the station through the viewports. "Those are human designs, but they're at least 50 years ahead of current consortium technology." Amy was monitoring communication frequencies around the station. "I'm picking up signals from at least 12 other installations in this system. This isn't just one hidden colony. It's an entire civilization." The docking procedure was flawlessly executed by automated systems that guided the Stellar Dawn into a bay large enough to accommodate ships 3 times their size. As the airlock sealed and atmosphere was restored, Tom realized they were about to meet people who represented humanity's greatest achievement: the refusal to surrender their independence, no matter the cost. Commander Stone was waiting for them as they disembarked, accompanied by a small group of station personnel. She was taller than she had appeared on the transmission, with the bearing of someone accustomed to command, but without the arrogance Tom had often seen in consortium officers. "Welcome to Kepler Station," she said, extending her hand to Captain Roth. "You've taken considerable risks to reach us." "The truth is worth any risk," Captain Roth replied. Commander Stone nodded approvingly. "Emma said the same thing. Come, there's much to show you and little time before your pursuers arrive." As they walked through the station's corridors, Tom was amazed by what he saw. The technology was clearly human in origin, but refined and advanced through decades of independent development. Holographic displays showed system status and navigation data with clarity and detail that surpassed anything he had worked with. The people they passed moved with purpose and confidence, nodding respectfully to their commander, but showing none of the nervous deference common in consortium installations. "How many people live here?" Tom asked. "Kepler station houses about 200,000, Commander Stone replied. "The entire system contains nearly 1 million free humans across 18 different installations. We've been growing steadily since the containment." They entered a large briefing room with a holographic display showing the local star system. Tom could see the defensive positions, mining operations, manufacturing facilities, and research stations that comprised the hidden civilization. It was impressive beyond his wildest dreams. "After the consortium destroyed the open colonies," Commander Stone began, "our founders realized that humanity's survival depended on staying hidden and becoming completely self-sufficient. We've spent 70 years perfecting technologies that the galaxy thinks are impossible." She activated displays showing advanced fusion reactors, atmospheric processors that could terraform dead worlds in decades instead of centuries, and ship designs that were faster and more efficient than anything in the consortium fleet. "But our greatest achievement isn't technological," Commander Stone continued. "It's social. We've proven that humans can cooperate across cultures and backgrounds to build something better than what the galaxy offered us. No species hierarchy, no enforced limitations, no artificial restrictions on human potential." Drax studied the defensive layouts with professional interest. "Your security systems are impressive. How have you remained hidden for so long?" "Careful planning and superior technology," Commander Stone replied. "Our ships use stealth systems that are invisible to consortium sensors. Our communications are encrypted with algorithms that would take their computers centuries to break. Most importantly, we've cultivated the belief that this region of space is dangerous and unprofitable." Amy was examining the communication equipment. "Dr. Walsh mentioned something called the Last Stand Protocol. Is that part of your defensive systems?" Commander Stone's expression became serious. "The Last Stand Protocol is much more than defense. It's our plan for restoring humanity's rightful place in the galaxy." She activated a new display showing star charts that extended far beyond the local system. "We've spent decades preparing for the day when we could reunite with our cousins in consortium space and reveal the truth about human history." Tom stared at the scope of the planning involved. "You're talking about challenging the entire galactic order. We're talking about freeing humanity from a lie that has restricted our potential for over 70 years, Commander Stone corrected. "The protocol includes detailed plans for contacting human populations throughout consortium space, providing them with the technology and knowledge they need to achieve true independence." Ben was studying the technical specifications. "Your manufacturing capabilities could equip entire fleets. How many ships do you have?" "Enough," Commander Stone replied with a slight smile. "Our shipyards have been working continuously for decades. We have vessels that can outrun, outfight, and outsmart anything the consortium fields." An alarm began sounding throughout the station. Commander Stone activated her personal communicator. "Report. 3 consortium patrol ships just entered the system," came the reply. "They're broadcasting demands for your surrender and the return of the cargo vessel Stellar Dawn." Commander Stone looked at Captain Roth and her crew. "The moment of truth has arrived. We can try to negotiate with the consortium forces, or we can show them what free humans are truly capable of." Tom felt his heart racing as he realized the magnitude of the decision before them. For 70 years, the hidden colonies had survived by remaining invisible. Now they were being asked to reveal themselves and potentially start a war that could reshape the galaxy. "What do you recommend?" Captain Roth asked. Commander Stone's smile became fierce. "I recommend we send a message that humanity will no longer accept the limitations placed on us by others. Our ships are faster, our technology is superior, and our cause is just." She activated the station-wide communication system. "All hands, this is Commander Stone. Initiate Last Stand Protocol. Launch all available ships. Today we remind the galaxy what humans can accomplish when they refuse to surrender." The station around them came alive with activity as thousands of people prepared for the confrontation that would determine humanity's future. Tom realized that his discovery of Dr. Walsh's message had started a chain of events that would either liberate humanity or destroy the last free humans in the galaxy. As Kepler Station's fleet launched to face the consortium patrol ships, Tom knew that whatever happened next, the truth about humanity's achievements would finally be revealed. The hidden colonies had spent 70 years preparing for this moment, and they were ready to prove that humans had never needed alien assistance to reach the stars. The Last Stand Protocol was about to show the galaxy what humanity could accomplish when they fought for their freedom.